Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, aka Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with some Wargaming in miniature. Okay, so looks like Mike's already here. We got Mike dropping in some comments saying, "What's up?" All right, and you got a message retracted? Okay, you must have retracted that. Yeah, so I was going to start a little bit earlier, um, but some things came up and went down. So we had a little issue going on here that prevented me from streaming. And about an hour ago, I got most of it resolved. So decided to go ahead and prepare for the stream today. I decided, instead of just throwing my hands up and giving up, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do a little stream. Now we're going to be painting these two British battalions here. I've got the 33rd and the 69th, mainly because, and 100% because the flags that came with these figures were the 33rd and the 69th. So that's the long and short of that. These guys are almost done. I only have like these 5 paints left to put on these guys, and even then, some of these are just little touch-ups. Like gold, I should do that in 2 seconds, and then I don't even know if I'm going to be doing the brass, but definitely the white and the metallics have got to go on. But that's pretty much it for them. Then they'll be done, and I can start basing and well, actually, then I can give them their wash, and then I can, which by that time, that would be the end of the video, because I'm not going to have you sit here for 6 hours waiting for that wash to dry. Unless you're just that excited about it, but you know. All right, we've got a, looks like a, okay, so I don't actually have to move that widget. It just plays. How long does it stay? It doesn't stay forever? Okay, hold on. Huh. And I see that my camera is maybe autofocusing. Okay. 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 Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh my gosh, it's autofocusing at 60. The hell? Okay. That should resolve that issue. Okay, so this is okay, my widget is off. It is okay. Maybe it's because I redacted this one message. Hey, hang on. Not gonna worry about it. It'll just be one off. Okay, so the my widget is, when I click on a message, it's supposed to pop up with the message I click on. but it's not. It's clicking on the next message. And it's probably because my very first message before we started the stream, I went ahead and removed it and probably threw my widget off. I probably could reset the widget. Can I do that? Hang on. Yeah, I refreshed it. No, that didn't have anything to do with it. Whatever, we're going to let it slide. We're going to make it happen. Okay, so before we get started, no, hell, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. As I go, I can't see half of anything because I've got these magnifying glasses on. These things, I can't even, it's blurry for me on the screen, so, you know. The news, right. I started a series last weekend, and I uploaded it and had it ready for Monday. It was basically channel news, letting you know like what's new for my, not channel, store. What's new for the store. And basically it hits on 4 topics. It hits the what's like what I'm working on, what I've finished, what new product I might have received over the last week, and supplies. Basically, that's all it talks about. So I get, so you get to see like what's on my table, getting painted, and then you get to see what I've already finished for the week. Then I show like painting supplies, like if I got any tools in, or basically anything that I would use in the pursuit of painting miniatures. And then, or selling them. Actually, I should add that too. And like, let's just say I get printing labels in. I know it's something mundane, right? But if I get these printing labels in, I'll show them off as well. Like, hey, check it out. I got these new printing labels in. Just to let everybody know, you know, what's going on in the store. And to keep a visual record of what's going on in the store. And then I'll show like if I got any new box sets in or any miniatures in the mail that I plan to paint or just put on the store. If it is personal, like I'm adding it to my personal collection of 15 millimeter Napoleonics or whatever, we won't talk about it because it's not for the store. It's not going to be for sale. And I've only had one video, and it went really well. I got a lot of good feedback from that, saying you know they appreciated the update. So that is a hit, and so I'm going to continue that as we go forward. I bet they don't care about the supplies or the you know, at all. They probably only care about like what's on my table and what I finished. Maybe like what new product I got in. Oh dang. Okay. And that's probably all they care about, but that is 3/4 of the video, so either way, I like this. So we're gonna keep that up. Secondly, um, IL-2 is a game that I play regularly. Not as much as I'm playing Skyrim right now, but it is a game I play at least weekly. You know, it is. It just got its update. Um, Flying Circus Part 2 just came out. I've been a early backer of Flying Circus 2, and as they released planes or maps or missions or whatever, I I would receive it early, right? So this is not that big of a deal for me for it to come out, but there was one missing piece that they've promised to release with it when it actually releases, and I'll have to check that tonight because it just came out. I just finished downloading it. The the campaign generator. Appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. The And then another piece of news. Um, if you haven't noticed, or if you haven't, if you're really only here for the historical part of my videos, then you might not have caught this part because I also have uh, fantasy RPGs on here as well, and I've been playing D&D. Well, hell, since 1977. I don't know. I've been playing D&D for a long time, but I've been off and on D&D, and I've always been looking for an alternative to D&D because I've always felt in the back of my mind there's got to be something better because D&D is broken in many ways. It's got a lot of good parts to it, which is really good for marketing. But other than that, it's and for playability, for speed of play, D&D's got it right. You can resolve uh, scenarios pretty quickly in D&D. Um, but that but fast doesn't always mean better. And so I've always been looking for another system, right? Um, I played RuneQuest, which I like quite a bit. But the problem with RuneQuest is the world is kind of crazy, crazy insane. Um, but it's got a good system. And then there's I don't know, Rollmaster, which I played it in Middle Earth, so you know the world's definitely good to go. But the rules are just a little bit too complicated. Um, Not overly complicated. I mean, anybody with a brain can figure it out and play. Um, but there's just too much, right? I even tried Pathfinder, which after like one session, I realized it was just D&D. And then I don't know, Call of Cthulhu, uh, Tune, Paranoia. What are some other game systems that I might have used? Palladium, uh, GURPS, the Fantasy Trip. Um, Now, the problem with the Fantasy Trip, it's got two problems. It's a really good system, don't get me wrong. But it's too easy. Um, and when I say easy, I don't really mean like it's. Um, I don't mean it's. I guess easy is not the word I'm trying to look for. Uh, it's not. Um, Detailed enough. That's probably the word I'm looking for. It's too, everything's done in generalities, and it's not, there's just not enough meat and potatoes on the table, you know? It's one of those. It's a good system. It was it was designed to, as a combat system, to be played over your lunch break. You and your buddy make a character, fight it out in an arena style, and then uh, and then when you're done, you pack up your belongings, you go back to class or whatever. And it is not. Then they came out with the wizards in the arena, which I thought was a cool addition because you could summon creatures like dragons and bears and stuff. And then they realized that they could take this system that they have of combat and magic and they could add more to it and then make it an RP system. Um, and it just doesn't hold up, in my opinion. I mean, I loved it when I was a kid. Um, I love the new printing of it and everything, but it's just not. There's just something about it. It's just not there. It just does. I know there's people out there that play the Fantasy Trip, and they have ongoing campaigns that have been going on for years and stuff like that. It's just not for me. It just didn't. It just didn't click with me. Okay, we might come back to the gold. Oh, we're already coming back to the gold. Dang. I didn't hit this. I didn't hit this. The spear tips. I just all I did was the cord. Okay. So and then there's so many other role playing games out there that um, just don't hold up. You know, like Tunnels and Trolls and trying to think of some other fan. Oh, I played Dragon Quest. Um, which was an old SPI game. SPI was getting into role playing games, and it was Dragon Quest. They're really good mechanics, but there's no world. There's no there's no history behind it or whatever, and it just I need there to be. This is me though. This is me. I need a world that is is fully fleshed out with history and background and everything else, so that I can take that information and write adventures and stories and stuff like that that happen in that world. And I just don't have time or the wherewithal, I guess is the word, to write my own world, right? With all the history and the nuance and the kingdoms and the creatures, and I just don't have that much I don't know, gumption or I guess wherewithal, because it's partially smarts and ability. I don't really have that. And Mike says he loves games with good background, with tons of background. And yeah, exactly. So that's mainly why I've been sticking with D&D, is because it's got a great world. I'm not gonna. Let me back up. I'm not gonna say great world. It's got a complete world. It's got a whole Western continent, or the western edge of it is fully fleshed out, or it's constantly being added to and fleshed out. And that's one reason why I liked Forgotten Realms. But I don't like the world. It's like I'm using this world because it's complete, but not because I like it, because I don't. I really, really don't like Forgotten Realms. And that's one reason why my current D&D game is not even in the Forgotten Realms. It's actually in ancient Greece. And that D&D game should be ending in either this coming Wednesday or the next Wednesday, because they're on their last labor, and if all goes as if all goes according to plan, which you know it never does, but if all goes according to plan, they should be able to complete this labor in one session. Um, but they might not, and so if that's the case, then we'll have 2 sessions remaining. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. The part of painting these miniatures that I dread the most is the white straps, because there are so many of them. There's so many straps on these guys, and it's kind of a some of it is needs a fine tip, some doesn't. But doing the white straps is, you got cords and straps and plumes, and you got all kinds of stuff. So what I plan to do, just for my own mental focus on this, is I plan to do just one aspect at a time, like just the backpacks, just the plumes, just the sling, the cross straps, turnbacks. Basically, I do a little bit at a time, instead of going, okay, let's take one figure and do all the white, and then let's go to the next figure and do all the white. Because what it does for me, uh, I'm mentally handicapped when it comes to painting. What it lets me do is, like, if I did all their plumes, I'd be like, yes, I got all the plumes done. And then I do the turnbacks. Yes, I got all the turnbacks done. It basically gives me those little bitty uh, bumps, saying that I'm one step closer to completion, you know? Now, even though this says Citadel color skull white, um, I would probably venture a guess to say that less than 50% of this paint is Citadel. Um, Throughout the years, I've added uh, other, like, craft white. I've added Vallejo white into this white, and it's mixed. Plus, I've added uh, mixing mediums and stuff. So, But white is pretty much white, you know, and it's all acrylic. So it should have no problem. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't have any problem because I constantly, as this bottle gets lower and lower, I will fill it back up with new types of paint. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up, the reason why I'm saying that is because I got a new campaign coming out. It is going to be Harn. Um, I've I've known about Harn ever since the early '80s. Um, I've always, as a kid, I looked at Harn as um, what's as something that I didn't really want to get into. And part of the reason was I thought it was too detailed or too was going to be too much work, you know, or uh, I had limited. Okay, hang on. There we go. Limited knowledge of what Harn really was because I never really opened a book or a module or anything and took a look at it. I just kind of looked from afar, you know, looking at the books and stuff from the covers, and then thinking that's not really for me, you know, because as a youngster, all I cared about at the time was dungeons, exploring caves with my buddies, and then over fighting the monsters, getting the treasure. You know, hardly any role playing at all. Just rolling dice. And gradually, as I've gotten older and older and older, I've kind of gotten away from that and got leaning in on the the whys. Why are we here? Why is this monster in this cave? Um, there was a there was a I had an epiphany, I think, one year when one of my players, when I was running a game, asked me a question about this homemade dungeon that I had made, right? He's like, why is there orcs in this one room, and then right across the hall, you've got skeletons? You know, like why is that like that? And I didn't have an answer for him because in my early D&D years, I would just draw up some random map and just plug in some random monsters, maybe even rolled on a random monster generator just to populate it, just to give my friends something to kill. Right? Had no rhyme or reason. Rolled randomly for treasure, rolled randomly for, in some cases, hallways and passageways and stuff like that. And I let the I let the charts decide, you know, and I had an awakening. And I think ever since that point, I realized the flaw of D&D, you know, and then from then on, I've always been looking for a better system. When I was in high school, I had a friend, John Patterson, shout out. He kind of opened my eyes to other game systems, uh, and he at at that age, he already knew that D&D was a flawed system. Yes, we played D&D and he enjoyed playing with me and stuff like that, but whenever he ran a game, it was never D&D, it was something else. He turned me on to the fantasy trip actually. And okay, so I've been looking for this, you know, this unicorn for many years. And finally, I just decided one day, I just said, you know what? I, I I'm looking for another world because I knew my Greek campaign was coming pretty close to an end. I said, you know what? There's got to be a world out there that would be better than Forgotten Realms. I'm not exactly sure which one. So, in the back of my mind, I remember Harn. So I said, you know what? I wonder if Harn is still in print and still, if it's available out there. And so I found that Columbia Games is alive and well, and they are still putting Harn material out. And you can't even see this because I'm like off camera, but deal with it. All I'm doing is painting the plumes. Um, I wonder. Might get a little more out of it that way. I don't know. Now where was I? Okay. Uh, the so basically making this long story a little shorter. I picked up some Harn material. Not sure if I was going to like it or not. I read through a couple of books, um, and then I started watching other people's YouTube videos describing um, the world and some of these other books and stuff. And I noticed there's not a huge following, right? It's not like D&D. D&D's um, is an infection. It's basically everywhere, and but Harn's not like that. So, but that's okay. I don't need there to be millions of players playing Harn. I just need a party, right? So I pulled up. Uh, well, let me say I decided I'm going to go ahead and run a Harn game. The world seems like it's a really cool world, well fleshed out. Um, I haven't really done any videos on the books per se, the Kingdom books or the regional books and stuff like that. Um, Mainly because I'm afraid that I'm going to reveal some spoilers for my party. Uh, so what I did was I did make some videos but I tried to focus on the mechanics and not the world. There is a there is a role-playing game associated with Harn, uh, because Harn was originally just a campaign setting to be used with any role-playing game. And then they came out with this game system called Harn Master, which I wasn't sure if I was gonna like that or if it was gonna be uh, any good, you know. And when I got it and I read through it, my I was like super excited because it was it was not um okay, let me rephrase. The concepts in the rules are very familiar to me. Um it's very similar to RuneQuest, right? The mechanics of the game is very similar to RuneQuest. So I was like, "Oh, okay." But then they had some rules that seemed familiar, like from Rollmaster, right? And so I'm like, okay, it's kind of a combination of Rollmaster and RuneQuest. And I was like, okay, because I like both of those systems. Rollmaster was way too complicated, but they're only taking very small portions of RuneQuest. I'm sorry, Rollmaster. But it seems like RuneQuest is the main similarity, right? And so there's a lot of concepts in the game that are exactly the same as RuneQuest. Um, but instead of the world being some kind of crazy, Piers Anthony kind of world, it's it's realistic, hyper realistic, um, maybe too realistic, right? This. I try to explain this to people, and well, let me rephrase that. The way I explain it to people is, imagine you're in a sword fight, right? Yeah, you and a buddy or an enemy, not a buddy. you and an enemy are in a sword fight. Um, and he stabs you through the chest with a sword, right? Goes in one side, maybe 6 inches in, maybe a little bit further, but still, that's a sword, right? So you get this sword sticking into your chest. What do you think's going to happen next? You know, and do you think you're just going to brush it off? Do you think you're just going to uh okay, I'm not too worried about it because I've got 100 hit points and a sword can only do like 20 maximum, so I'm good? No. You're probably going to die for one thing. You're probably just going to be instantly killed. And if not, you're probably going to buckle over in pain, effectively out of the fight. That is Harn. One hit will take you out of the fight. Not always, not always, not 100%. Don't nothing's 100%. But you can expect that if you're just some normal guy and you get struck by a sword and it's a strong enough hit, like to the chest, you're going down. There are no hit points. There are, or there is, no armor class. So, do you have armor? Yes. Does it reduce their chance to hit you? No. It does what it does in RuneQuest. Reduces the amount of damage you take in a specific area. But in RuneQuest, and in Rolemaster, which this game doesn't use, they both have hit points. RuneQuest uses a hit point by location, so like your head would have a different amount of hit points than your arms, which has a different amount of hit points than your legs. And then you also have a total hit points. So if you reduce the number of hit points in your legs, then maybe you lose the use of that leg and you fall down. Or if you lose your arm, you lose enough hit points in the arm. Now you can't use the arm. And if the leg and the arm combined is your total hit points, then you're slain. Harnmaster doesn't do that. Harnmaster just says, you just have injuries. But that's not the point. That's not the point. I didn't mean to get into an explanation of what Harnmaster is and stuff like that. But let me just say, one of the reasons why I like it is because it's, and when I say realistic, don't forget I am putting that istic on there. It's not real. It's not exact, it's not a simulation. But it gives me that feeling that this is how it possibly could happen. And I dig that. I dig the realism of the system. And not meaning to get into this topic because there's something I wanted to say, and this was just a preface or a preamble to what I was about to say. But I do want to say this one thing. You could confront a monster, let's say, and it could be any monster, but just a monster in general. Just confront this monster, and you've got a sword, and you swing the sword, you roll the dice, you get a good hit on this creature, you cause an injury, and then you see the monster crumple over and die. That could happen with one hit. And the same is true for the player, his character. Some little bitty goblin creature could run up to you, stab you with his spear, and you could die. So I say that because I don't want my players to think that they're D&D characters. They're not demigods that run around destroying everything in their wake. I don't want them to think that they're undefeatable or you know, that they've got hit points to fall back on because you don't. Now, not all injuries are like that. Very few injuries will just take you out outright because you'll probably get a cut or something before you get like your head severed. But getting your head severed is a possibility. Getting your hand lopped off is a possibility. But okay, the whole reason why I brought this whole Harn subject up is because I'm continuing to make videos on my channel. Okay, what do we got going on here? Remember, I can't read with these binoculars. Okay, hold on. Let me put this on. Looks like Mike is saying he can't wait till the Harn World hardback gets here. You know, I am the same way. But let me go into what I was about to say. As you know, I'm making videos. I'm doing these bare mechanics of the Harn Master book, like magic and religion, clerics specifically, um, fighting, making your character, that kind of stuff. I didn't get too deep into lore. Um, I'm kind of reserving any lore video for campaign specifics. Like, I will do a lore video, but it's going to be targeted to my players so that they can watch it and know what they need to know going forward. It's not really for the general public, but of course the general public is going to be allowed to watch it. Of course, I'm going to make it public, but it's going to be aimed towards them. With over 1 million words in print, there's a lot of lore. So I'm going to kind of cherry pick the lore that my players need to know. Okay, so having made these videos, it came to Columbia's attention that I was a new Harn player and making Harn videos, and they contacted me asking if I would like to review their new book that's coming out, and get a free copy of their Harn World. And I told them, if you contact me like a week earlier, because I'd already did the Kickstarter and backed the Harn World. And they're like, oh, that's okay. They said, we'll send you something else. And I'm like, okay. Get it then. Make it happen. Yeah, I said, I'll be glad to do a book review of whatever that book you send me. I know which book it is. I'm just not revealing what it is. But they're going to send me this book. I'm going to do a book review of it. They're going to send me some other material, not the Harn World, because I had already backed for the new Harn World Kickstarter. And now the whole reason behind their Kickstarter is just FYI, is they don't do hardbacks. That's not Columbia Games Harn MO. What they normally do is 3-ring binder pages that are broken down into articles, and then you take these articles and you arrange them however you want in however many binders you have for the game. So you might have a binder of just kingdoms, or you might have a binder of just equipment, or a binder of just monsters, and you could get a book from them, which is not a book. Remember, it's 3-ring binders, pages, and then you take some of the pages and put it in this binder, and take some of the pages and put it in that binder, and that was their idea, was make it easier for game masters to organize their collection, right? So that make it easier for them to find what they're looking for because they know where they put it, kind of thing. But the community has requested that they do hardbacks, um, and so these Kickstarters are basically for them to make these hardbacks. Now they've already done, I think it was like 2 years ago, they did a Kickstarter hardbacks for the Kingdom books, or at least 4 of them. I don't think they did all of them, because the book they're getting ready to send me is a Kingdom book, converted into hardback. Plus, not only are they just hardbacks, but they doubled the content. So let's say you got 60 pages of a Kingdom book, when it was 3-ring binders pages. Now you're going to get like 120 or more in the hardback. And I'm okay with a hardback as opposed to the 3-ring binder pages. Yeah, I'm personally okay with that because I would be able to find whatever I'm looking for. That wouldn't be a problem. But because I almost exclusively play online now, I don't care about either one of those. I want them in PDF form. That way I can copy and paste into Roll20 where I'm running my game. Okay, but now the second half of that email was, now this guy is not Grant. This guy is Castle Archon, I think is his. I think that's his YouTube name, but I think that's right. James, whatever his name is. His name is James, I think. He said that he schedules Grant interviews for content creators, and wanted to know if I would like an interview with Grant. And I was like, yeah, I'd love it. So after about a week, he comes back, and I've received the follow-up email saying that he added Grant to our email chain, and that if I wanted to ask him anything, I could just reply to the email, and he would get, he'd be able to respond or whatever. So I replied saying that I'm pretty much, what would you prefer, morning, afternoon, or evening, and what day of the week is best for you. And then I said, I'll make a suggestion. How about next weekend? So not this weekend, that's not tomorrow, but like next week. Haven't received back anything from him yet. It seems like there's usually about a 2-day delay between our emails. which that's normal for me. If you send me an email, don't expect a response immediately because I normally don't open my emails every day. I try to. I mean, I consciously try to, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I paint miniatures, you know? Sometimes I play computer games. Lately, I'm going to say last 2 weeks or so, I've been, maybe less, but I've been really pumping out content. Um, I'm writing a document of my campaign. It's basically a synopsis. I've already done that of like how it starts and progresses and now the way I'm writing this campaign is not episodic. It's not the players go here, the players do this, the players receive this gift and then they become gods. No, it's not written like that. It's written like this is what's going on in the world. This is where it's happening. And then this is who's doing it, when they're doing it, why they're doing it. And then I would be like, okay, if they're doing it in this one castle, okay, then I probably need to have a castle map because at some point the players might show up and start a fight. And if they do, I'll need this map. What kind of creatures are in this castle that might oppose the players, right? So that's the kind of stuff I'm writing. Uh, what's going on in the world and not what the players are doing about it, because that's up to them, right? I'm leaving it open, uh, almost like an open world where they can choose to go to this village and save it or not. And if they do, they might get X, Y, and Z clue. And if they don't, the villain will receive X, Y, and Z artifacts or whatever, right? And so it's written in. I'm writing it in a way, and it's really exciting, almost like a pick your own adventure kind of thing, almost. And so hopefully, what that'll do for the players is make them realize that their decisions matter, right? If they go save this village and not this other village, then yes, they thwarted whatever's happening here, but whatever happened here is going to uh, maybe impact the campaign in some way. So the struggle that I'm having is because when you write an episodic, when you write a linear adventure where they go from one room to the next room to the next room to the next room, that's easy because you just go, okay, this is what happened. This puts you on the path to this next thing that happens, and this puts you on the path to the next thing that happens. If you write your story like that, the players really don't have any control over their actions. They're basically on a railroad, on a train, just just going down the railroad, and you're not giving them an opportunity to make any decisions. There's no real decisions to make. And But when you write an adventure where multiple things are happening all around in different areas, and the players can choose whichever one they want to go deal with, you've got to figure out what happens when they go to this thing and they do this thing. That's no problem. That's just like a railroad. Or if they don't go and do something, how does that impact the next thing that happens in this adventure? So think of it like the wheel of time. No, think of it like a wheel where the innermost circle or the innermost the axle, this is where the players are starting, and they're trying to get to the outside, right? They're trying to get to the rim of your wheel. But on the way out there, a lot like a dartboard or I don't know, a dart, like a bullseye, you got these rings that go out, and there are multiple things in each ring, right? But if you take care of ring A, right, the very first ring, how does that affect the multiple things that are in ring B? Because there's going to be multiple things in ring B. How does that impact all those B items? And then when you go to choose which of the multiples of B and you hit that, how does that affect the C ring, right? And so that's where I'm kind of struggling, right? Getting the interaction not between the players and the stuff, but the stuff and the stuff. So stopping these bandits from raiding this village saves the village in the next ring, right? So that next ring, they're probably not going to be, it's not going to be devastated, right? But this other village that they didn't stop the bandits is going to be devastated. So whatever quests we're going to spark or generate from the second village are not going to spark because it's been destroyed. If you get my drift, right? It's not. That's probably over exaggerating the way this campaign is going to work, but I just want to let you know that I'm digging it. I'm having a really good time. I'm going to do the drums. I think I'm going to do the drums here and here. I'm trying to keep these battalions separated. Yeah, trying to keep the 69th and the 33rd kind of separated. Now, is this going to work for the drums? I'm going to make it work. Okay. I could go on for days. I could go on for hours and hours and hours talking about Harn, the world, the campaign I'm writing, the mechanics, the history, the lore. You can't see it on my face because I'm stoic, but I am more than super excited. I'm hype. I couldn't resist. I'm hyped. Okay, we got a couple of messages. We got game's gonna be awesome. Yes, it is. And heck yeah. Okay. I love games with lots of background. Okay, we already talked about that. What is this? I can't even read with my binoculars on. I can't wait till... Okay, maybe I can read it if I hit... I can't wait till the home... Yep, you already mentioned that. Okay, cool. And that doesn't pop. That pops. Okay. Gonna be awesome. That's exactly right. Um, my my excitement level is okay. I love D&D. I love RuneQuest, Rollmaster, uh, Traveler, GURPS, even in a little ways. The Fantasy Trip GURPS, Palladium. I even enjoy Palladium a little bit. But if you were to put those in a role playing, like, if I was to assign a number to them and say how good I like them, uh, I would say I like them a lot. I really enjoy D&D. I really do enjoy D&D. I would have to say I give it a good 7 out of 10, right? Um, or 70% or whatever. I think D&D is a good system. It's fast. It's easy to understand. It's easy to run. There's no thinking involved. You just sit down, roll some dice, kill some monsters, get your treasure, and move on. It's I really like that about D&D. And RuneQuest, Rollmaster, though they all have good mechanics, maybe better mechanics than D&D, but the world just isn't fleshed out enough. Or, well, RuneQuest world is really fleshed out. It's just weird. You got ducks running around. Um, which, don't get me wrong, I love me some ducks, but it's weird. You got these Moracanth or whatever, the anteater people. Come on now, it's a weird world. Um, Dragons aren't even dragons. They're called spirit dragons for a reason. They're actually just the thought of a real dragon. A real dragon has a dream dragon. That's what they're called. Has a dream, and the dragon that you're fighting is actually nothing but a dream of the actual dragon. It's weird. It's a weird thing. So, um, so if I was to put all those games in and around 7, because I really like them a lot, I'm gonna say Harn Master, just the mechanics. Harn Master is probably a 9. Yeah, it's probably a 9 because there is a couple of things about it that I think are need to be fixed. And guess what? I'm gonna fix it and make it a 10. But it requires me to fix it, and I am gonna do that. I've already made a conscious decision to do that. Um, which I guess I better get off my ass and actually fix it. Because I haven't. I know what I want to do, but I just haven't put it to pen. Um, and if I was to take Harn World and compare it to other worlds, like the RuneQuest world, the uh, Forgotten Realms, or any of those other worlds that I've run in, first of all, the Fantasy Trip, I would give it like a 2 or a 3. I don't really like that world. The uh, RuneQuest, I'd probably give it a good 5 or 6. It's a good world. It's just weird. Rollmaster World, I'd give that a pretty strong 9, 10, maybe even. Because I usually play in Lord of the Rings, the Middle Earth. And that's a really good fleshed out world. I dig that world. But Harn, I'd probably have, I don't know, Harn World, I'd have to give it a 9. It's as good, if not better, than the Lord of the Rings world. So the mechanics combined with the world, I'm giving it a grand total of a 9. When you look at all these other game systems that I normally play, D&D, MERPs, Fantasy Trip, RuneQuest, Rollmaster, those are all in the 5 to 6 range when you compare the world to the mechanics and everything. So this is, I don't know, I'm just super excited about it. Maybe overly so. Maybe it's, and I know I'm trying to temper my excitement with uh, knowing that there is such a thing as bias, right? And knowing that there is such a thing as the new shiny thing, right? But just because it's new to me, and it's I'm trying to use my I'm trying to be aware of perceptions, right? I'm trying to be aware of this. And even with me trying to limit my expectations. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do some white gloves real quick. While I'm thinking about it. I still think it is the best game system that I've seen in a long time. Maybe even ever. And um, the world. Okay, there are some problems with the world, and that's why I didn't give it a 10. And it's not a problem. I don't know. That's probably being unfair to call it a problem. But there is something I wish the world would have that it doesn't. So to me, that makes it a problem. But it does have it. It's just. It's just. It's just me being a whiny baby, and I know that. Um, the there aren't a whole lot of adventures, pre-written, written adventures, which there are a handful, and I picked them up, and I'm looking through them, and I'm like, they're okay, but they're not written in a way that like a D&D module is written. They're written in more of a suggestive manner, and yeah, that's me being a whiny baby. The whole the whole what's the word? The whole philosophy, I guess is the word, is that we give you the tools and you make the adventure. They don't want to write your adventures for you. Which I wish they would, but then I don't, because let me just look. I'm glad. Let me say I'm glad that they don't, because that way the games can't be vanilla, right? They're everybody's Harn game is not going to be the same, because it falls on the game master to write the adventures. If there was just printed adventure after adventure, game masters would just be running those adventures like I do with D&D. I take a campaign book and I run it straight out of the book. No thinking necessary. That's one thing I like about D&D, but I also don't like. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Okay. Yeah, D&D, the reason why D&D is as high as it is on my scale is because of the easiness of it. Not because it's a good system, not because the world is designed in a way that I enjoy. It's just easy. No thinking necessary. And that is why I got into 5th edition, because I played other editions of D&D and they were just more complicated. But when you add complication with no other added benefit, then I didn't like it. Right? And that's why I got away from 3.5. Because you added complication for no added benefit. But when 5th edition came out, it became easy with no added benefit. So the easy is what won me over. Now, when I look at Harn, I see it's not hard, it's not easy, but there is still added benefit. A lot of added benefits. And Mike, I know you're on the stream, right? So if you would do me a favor, in Discord, let Adam know that he needs to join the game. He's requested to be a part of the Harn campaign, and I have dropped him an invite a couple of times, and he doesn't join. So I don't know what's going on with her. Now I should see him tomorrow, but I don't want to like pester him. Well, I'm asking you. Maybe he'll do it if, you know, a second person asks him. Mason is also in the game, and I think we've got maybe 4 people right now signed up. Um, but only 2 of you, Mason and yourself, are the only 2 that actually got into Roll20 and joined the game. And tonight, after I make this, you know, do this live stream here and paint these models, I don't think I'm going to have them all done tonight. Because white is usually just takes the longest amount of time to do. But if I am going to be making a video tonight, making an announcement to the world that there is a Harn campaign going to be starting the 3rd of May. Not May 4th. I thought about that. I said, hey, May 4th, but that's a Thursday, and I'm doing a Wednesday game. I don't remember, Mike, were you in that Star Wars campaign where I played a Gungan Jedi? Do you remember that? Were you in that campaign? I think Adam might have been running that game. Um, and I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian or not. Spoiler alert. My character saves Grogu from Order 66 or whatever it is. Because Grogu had a flashback where it showed uh, the Gungan Jedi saving him. He's not actually Gungan. He's the actor that played Jar Jar Binks. He now has a samurai role. And I just put 2 and 2 together and said, oh, look at that. It's my character, a Gungan Jedi. Yeah, so we're going to be starting in Caldor, which is a feudal kingdom. The king is sickly. They expect him to pass any day now. But to be honest, they've expected him to pass for the last 20 years. And he has no heir. So and there's no there's no clear there's no clear successor. So if anything was to happen to him, many noble factions would form, each with a claim to the throne. Luckily, you guys aren't going to have to make any decisions like that. You might have to pick a side. Um, but you really aren't making that decision unless you go against your lord, because your lord is going to have to make that decision. Um, and then once he makes that decision, well, you would just fall into suit. But if you oppose his decision, well, then there's another problem. But your lord is probably not really making a decision either, because he has a lord above him. The only ones that really matter are the major houses. Well, I didn't mean to say it like that, you know. But it is true. Just because you're a noble doesn't mean you actually run anything. I don't want to spoil too much of it. But that's just a backdrop. That's not it's not what you guys are doing. Like, you're not specifically like joining a faction or otherwise. That's just a potential activity in the background. Yeah, speaking of which, Laura is off at Coronation this weekend. The new king has been crowned. Yeah, she's this last king, she's been on his entourage. So she's been going to an event like almost every other weekend. Just got back from Gulf Wars last weekend. Or was it week before? Week before last. And now she's going to Coronation. It should be the last event as his entourage. Okay, drums are done. We got plumes, drums, gloves. Maybe I'll do some turnbacks. Okay, that's not working. There we go. Normally when I do a live stream, I only stream for about 2 hours. Because I like to take a break, and then instead of taking a break on stream or whatever, I'll just end the stream, go take a break, and then probably start another project of some video or something. Editing something that needs to be uploaded. Okay, let me see if I can get caught up with some real reading glasses. Okay, hang on. What? Okay. Right on. A light a fire. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. And also you say, no, I wasn't. I don't understand that. No, I wasn't what? Okay. Uh, oh, yes, I never miss Mando. Oh, right. Exactly. Perfect. That's right. Yeah, constantly. Guess I could do backpacks. No, I'm going to do the turnbacks. Okay, so how long have we been streaming? An hour and 52. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it here because this is a good time for me to get started, to let that sit for a minute and then continue on with that at a different hour. I'm going to probably go grab something to eat. It's dinner time for me. Um, anybody else that's out there, I appreciate all of you guys coming and checking out the stream. Um, So you're okay. I was like, why is there a white logo and a colored logo? It looks like you changed it halfway through. Okay. The expect the unexpected. No, expect the Spanish Inquisition. No, expect another video to come out maybe on Monday where I talk about what's on my table, what I've finished, supplies, and any product that I might have received. Because that's my store update for the Wargaming and in miniature eBay store. I am. That's another thing. I got to box up some stuff and ship it out by tonight. I got to ship it out by tomorrow. Sold some Napoleonic miniatures and some World War II. I think I finally sold that Stug. I've had a Stug 3 on the shelf for probably a month. I don't know why people didn't want it, but now I got a second Stug that I could just go ahead and put that up. I'll probably start that after I do this. Um, Game wise, Wednesday might be my last D&D game ever. Okay, because I've fallen in love with a new game called Harn. Uh, D&D is just too it's too fantastical. It's I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't feel real to me anymore. It feels like a video game, or it feels like it's just too. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It just doesn't spark that for me. Um, so Wednesday might be the last game. If not, the next Wednesday definitely will be the last game because they've only got a couple of things left to do, and then they'll be finished with their 12th labor. And then once they get done with that, we're going to be switching over to, there'll be a couple of weeks gap. So, like all of April is pretty much going to be uh, no Wednesday night game. Uh, but starting May 3rd, we're going to have a Harn game. We are looking for a couple more players if anybody was interested in joining. But I'm getting ready to make an announcement video letting the world know that we do have a couple of slots available. People can join on Roll20. That's going to go up. Oh, yeah, big news. Oh, almost forgot. Oh, man, I can't believe I almost forgot this. I might be switching from YouTube. There's a possibility that I will be leaving YouTube and going to Rumble. It is a very possible it's a very strong possibility. I now have, when I first started, I didn't have this, but now I have the possibility to do live streams on Rumble. So now I can upload videos and do live streams on Rumble just like I can do on YouTube. And it's taken me a little while to get that, but now I have it. And there is not a lot of gaming content on Rumble, so uh, I feel like there's it's probably a reason. There's probably less of an audience for gamers on Rumble than there is on YouTube. YouTube is just it's like D&D. YouTube is like D&D. It's just everywhere, and Rumble is not so much. But it pays more. The videos you put on Rumble earn you more money than on YouTube. And there's less of an opportunity or less of a chance for a video to be banned or blocked or shadow banned or so if you guys don't know what shadow banning is, I'm just gonna let those of you that know, because I know if you asked me this about 2 years ago, I probably would not have been able to tell you, but I really have done a little bit of research on my YouTube stream. The video goes up and it plays. I can click it, it'll open. I can send the link to somebody, they can open it. It's not a problem, right? But the algorithm, meaning the who they present that video to see, is non-existent. Like, they do not ever show the video to someone. They don't suggest it in their feed. They don't put it into anybody's uh, to-do list or to watch list or nothing. It doesn't go anywhere. You can actually search almost specifically for the title of the video, and it still won't come up because it's been banned, but not really. So it's called a shadow ban. And I've had a few videos that I've uploaded that no one can ever find. Right? It's just not a they can't do it. They type in the title, nothing appears. Some other things appear. Other more woke style videos will show up on your inbox. In the past, I have talked about certain controversial topics. I have expressed my opinion about the way this United States is going, and those are the videos that get shadow banned. Those are the videos that YouTube doesn't want anybody to watch. And so Rumble promises, now, promises are like, a dime a dozen, but they promise not to do that. Is it real? Is it true? I don't know. But we might find out. Now, specifically, I was thinking, and you guys can tell me what you think. I was thinking about putting just my historical content, like the weekly live streams and the store video and the uploads and stuff like that, just those on Rumble, and leaving any role-playing on YouTube. But because I could do both, but to be honest, to be blunt, my role-playing videos get almost no views, even on YouTube. They get less than 100, let's just say. They get less than 100 views. And during the live streams of my D&D content, I get maybe a dozen people watching it, the max. It's not like it's not gangbusters, is what I'm saying. It's not like viral or anything like that. So moving over to Rumble it's not going to impact any of my fantasy content at all. Basically is what I'm trying to say. I might actually find a new audience because there's not a whole lot of gaming material on Rumble. So that's what I'm thinking. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And if I do that, and I want to put my historical stuff on Rumble, because the type of audience that's on Rumble is a different audience than is on YouTube. YouTube is full of blue-haired, blue checkbox individuals, and Rumble is red-pilled. And so I think I'm gonna and I don't know, but let me just say, it's on my mind. I'm really thinking about it. So give me your feedback on that. If you think that's a smart move, a bad move, or whatever. All right. So thanks for coming out and watching this stream. And you got all the news early and late. And I will see you in the next video.